begin with the shark attacks in North Carolina. One beach, two attacks, 90 minutes apart.
The shark relies on surprise.
And authorities say this hasn't happened in decades.
Are enjoying a day at Atlantic Beach, playing in waist-high water with her family when she is suddenly pulled underwater.
It's not the shark that you see that's sometimes the problem, it's sometimes the one you don't see.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Reviewing Every Game on Xbox Game Pass. This is a series where I attempt to review every game available on Xbox Game Pass, as you would expect. If you haven't seen the first episode, essentially, this is an attempt to review a lot of the indie titles or less popular games that are available on Xbox Game Pass for PC, and the general thought process is this is a review for the person who doesn't know if the game is worth trying out, because most reviews are done under the impression that you're going to be paying market price for a game. So an initial review for, say, a AAA title that's originally $40 to $60 would be reviewed as such because it is a $60 title, whereas if it's available immediately upon release on Xbox Game Pass or eventually released for Game Pass, I try to review it as a free-to-play game, essentially. Well, it technically isn't because you are paying for the subscription service. It's similar to going to the movies and paying for a ticket versus paying for Netflix and then watching the movie on Netflix. You didn't pay to watch that film in particular, you're paying for the option to watch that film. So with Xbox Game Pass, the general idea behind the reviews is you're not paying to play this game, you're playing for the option or opportunity to play the game. In this episode, I'm going to be reviewing the game Maneater, which is a title on Xbox Game Pass for PC, and it is an interesting one, to say the least. So Maneater might be one of the most bizarre and unique games I've played in the past couple years. It is a shark RPG style game. The core concept of the game is you're a small shark and the goal is to get bigger and eat things and fight and eat larger prey to gain DNA points and level points, XP to get bigger, and that's essentially the whole early game. And most of my experience was doing that in particular. The gameplay to Maneater is pretty basic and uninteresting on the surface level. It's you're a shark and you can bite, thrash, and use your tail to whip things around. And the combat is equally surface level lackluster. Most of the combat experiences, in my experience, were button mashing. The level system makes you feel helpless in most cases. There isn't much room to outplay or outfight larger animals. It's normally, if something is a lower level than you, you can eat it, and if something is a higher level than you, it will eat you. There isn't much room for you to make a mistake, to lose to something lower than you, or outplay a large animal. I spent probably 20 minutes fighting an alligator that was level 15 while I was level 5 over and over and over again, and died over and over and over again, and could not seem to beat it and eventually just gave up. There may be a way to win that fight at that stage, but it felt as though it wasn't possible, and the only way to do it was to level up and come back. Now, where this game succeeds is the world building. The narration is incredible. It's done by Jerry from Rick and Morty, and he does a fantastic job playing the role of a narrator talking over your actions.
Muskellunge, or muskie, is a freshwater fish commonly found throughout the Great Lakes region, so I have no idea what it's doing here. A famous big game hunter once posited that after an animal had tasted human flesh, it forsakes its natural prey in a deadly single-minded search for the most dangerous game.
The world building is unique and interesting, and at least the environments I was in are very interesting because you're a shark in a freshwater area, and you're not supposed to be there, so you kind of have that like fish out of water, in water vibe at the start of the game. The combat is, while I did say earlier that it feels samey and boring at times, it does feel very good to win combat, and it does feel very good to eat things smaller than you. You definitely feel like a badass shark when you eat the living shit out of something, and it succeeds in keeping you interested. I wasn't really having fun for about half of the time I spent playing the game, and I still wanted to continue. And I think there is something to be said about it being able to pull somebody who's largely uninterested in the game itself, and keep them engaged. And I think that that is noteworthy enough. It's not enough to keep me playing the game, but it was enough to keep me giving it a try and giving it chances. It does a very good job of orchestrating intense moments and making you feel afraid when something big is trying to kill you, and making you feel powerful when you're dominating something smaller than you. It really nails the evolution and there's always a bigger fish vibe in the audio building and sound quality of the game. Now, where it falls short is in tons of places. I'm not going to talk about everything, but I will talk about the major points for me that were huge shortcomings and failures overall, in my opinion. And the biggest one is just the grindy nature of the game. This isn't an MMORPG. This isn't even like a Skyrim or a Oblivion or a Cyberpunk 2077. This is a game where you play as a shark. There isn't a ton of character builds, or you don't choose a class, or there aren't like class choices, and so the character customization is kind of lackluster in that regard. I mean, you are limited to being a shark, and they do a good job of giving you fun, gamey options of when it comes to, shark customization. But for the most part, it's a game about being a shark, and you're a shark, and all the customizations are just shark accents. So the grindy nature isn't like, oh, I'm gonna get and become, a very powerful character. I'm just gonna become a bigger shark. Another massive spot where it falls short is the combat. I mean, this is a game where you're a shark. The whole game is based around eating things smaller than you and fighting things bigger than you. And there doesn't really feel much of anything to be had with the combat. You really can't improve. You can't really get better. The best you can do is get better at dodging, but there are plenty of attacks in the game that are completely undodgeable. Or if they are dodgeable, I couldn't figure out how to do it in the time that I spent playing. And these are early enemies that really shouldn't be as punishing as they felt, let alone having something that is undodgeable that can kill you. Overall, my closing thoughts on Maneater, the shark RPG game, is it's fine. I definitely won't be playing it more unless I want to have like a good laugh. I might keep it installed, but as of now, I have no plans on continuing or trying to get further into the game. But who knows? it does scratch a certain itch, and it could be fun to come back to at some point, because it is so unique and so bizarre. And I've never played anything quite like Maneater. I've never played a shark RPG adventure game before, so it's definitely interesting. And the fact that it's a game that takes place in the water and is like an aquatic game are already interesting enough. And so if you want something that's kind of like a change of pace, this game is perfect for you. If you're looking for something that feels like you're chasing a goal, there isn't really much of a super interesting story to go off of, but it's grindy and you can get things to improve your shark and stuff. If you're just looking for something to play like that, where you're getting bigger and stronger and you become more powerful and you fight things and you kill things that are stronger, enemies get stronger. If you're looking for that, this is that. But you get to be a shark, so it's pretty exciting, different. It's not like an Oblivion clone or a Cyberpunk clone or Witcher clone where the RPG elements, it all feels the same. You have not played a game like Maneater. I can guarantee that. Is it fun? Not really. No, it's not very fun. It's pretty boring, and you'll probably get bored playing it, but you also might not, because it is very bizarre. It might keep you interested the whole way through. You might not think it's boring at all, and you might be like, Maneater is filling this shark-sized hole in my heart. And if that's the case, more power to you, and good luck eating helpless civilians by the pier who don't know that a shark capable of jumping 15 feet into the air is coming for them. Thanks so much, guys.